Recording in
Hey,
progress.
everybody, welcome back to House 6, the movie podcast about movies. I am joined, of course, with Jared, Thomas, and Michael, and we are making our way through the Academy Awards. Um, so we're on number 7, which I got incorrect yesterday when I said we were on number 6, but so in the comments you can yell at me if you want, but we are on number 7.
I will. I'll yell.
And how many are there?
I don't know.
96.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Good Lord.
Getting close to 100 now.
we're close. You're saying?
Honestly, we're out of the 20s and we're about halfway through the 30s. So hey,
How are we not out of the 30s? Every time
I know,
look
that's
at
kind of what I thought when we saw this.
the
film. I was like,
movies, I'm like, they're all in the 30s.
Well, it's because Jared, we're on 1934, and it happened one night from Columbia Pictures. So, before we get into all the good stuff, I always ask you guys for a 3-word summary that you could put on the posters if that was your job about the movie. So go ahead, guys. Thomas, you go first. What is your 3 words or less for this movie?
collect calls and sexy.
Collect calls it sexy. Okay, who wants to go next? Michael?
does bipolar count as 1 or 2 words?
It's like
One? It's a hyphenated
I would
word.
think. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna say a bipolar gentleman. That's what we're gonna go with.
Jerry, what did you get?
Just one egg.
Just one A. Mine is going to be The Brat and the Furies. All right. So we always give you a little bit of information on the actual movie and the awards. So the 7th Academy Awards were held at the Biltmore Hotel on February 27th, 1935, and hosted by Irvin S. Cobb. The snubbing of actress Betty Davis for her film of Human Bondage was the controversy of the night, leading to the first time a writing candidate was allowed. Editing, original score, and original song were the new categories for that year, and Shirley Temple won for the first ever juvenile award at the age of 6. It happened one night, swept the awards, winning the top 5 awards, a feat that would only happen twice again, with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Silence of the Lambs. It would be the last time until 2003 that all the Best Actor nominees were the first-time nominees, and the last until 1971 that both lead actor categories were first-time nominees. The winner of the animated short was Disney's The Tortoise and the Hare. So moving on to the movie. It happened one night from 1934. The first Oscar winner for Colombia was directed by Frank Capra and starred Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert, all 3 winning Oscars for their respective categories for the film. Colbert would be nominated for Oscars 2 more times and would win a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress in a Series. Gable would become known as the King of Hollywood, become one of its most bankable stars, and appear in over 60 films. We will hear more about Capra really soon. Neither Gable or Colbert were the first choices for their roles, and both were hesitant to star in the picture. Colbert hated working with Capra, and an old Hollywood legend says that Gable was lent to Columbia for the role from MGM, who was getting back at the actor for turning down one of their pictures. But in truth, it was probably just they wanted to negate his wages he earned while not working for the studio. Despite Colbert calling it the worst movie she ever worked on, It Happened One Night has been called one of the greatest films ever made and was probably an inspiration for Bugs Bunny's characterization. It was selected for preservation in the Library of Congress and underwent a restoration in 2013 by Sony, the now owner of Columbia. So that's the background information. It happened one night. We usually start off by talking about the characters. Like we say, Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert are pretty much the stars and pretty much have all the screen time. So what did you guys think of Clark Gable in this one? We've seen him before in an Oscar movie. He had a little bit part in Wings. So what did you guys think of? We saw him in his first starring one.
Oh, he's my
Thomas
bipolar
liked it.
man.
He's the
It's like-
bipolar man.
Yeah, because there's like every 2 seconds he was either rushing and freaking out and upset, and then he'd flip on a dime and then be all suave and like, "Hello, lady, we have time." Like, what? You just said we had to go. It happened. He did that a lot, but no, I thought he did a really good job. I liked his character a lot. It was nice at not being completely creepy the whole time. You know, an actual
Yeah.
like an old
He's an
movie that
actually
wasn't
nice guy.
Yeah, he's actually just doing what he needed to do, and then kind of just fell into it. Yeah, it was fun. I liked it.
Jared, what do you think?
Yeah, he was really good. Probably the best main actor we've had so far. Like Michael was saying, he's not a creep. He's not annoying. He is suave and like charismatic.
Except for the guy from the freaking what's his name? The best
Oh,
man in the
Clancy
world.
or-
Clancy or whatever the heck his name was. Can't beat him.
Yancey.
Yancey.
Yeah.
Yancey.
Greatest
Well,
man ever to live.
Yancey's like the Ubermensch. Like he's the literal Superman.
He's the frontiersman. Thomas, what are your opinions on Clark?
I like Clark Gable a lot. A very, very attractive man. But yeah, he was super, super charismatic in this, and I was cracking up in this movie. I love this movie. But are we gonna go into the plot in a minute? or
Not
just in the
yet.
characters.
Yeah, we'll talk about the plot. in a
Okay.
minute.
I really enjoyed, especially the chemistry between the two, and yeah, what Michael and Jared were saying. This is the first time a leading man hasn't been like weirdly
A
creepy.
leading boy. This was a
Yeah,
leading man.
This was a man. This was a man, and yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I think Michael is onto something with the bipolarness because he starts off really cocky and kind of like a tramp looking guy. And then he gets really like sad during like the end of the movie because he's
You
like
think
all
she drove him to this, maybe.
yeah, he gets real depressed and he's very grumpy and stuff like that. But yeah, he has a magnetic personality, so it was easy to see why
bipolar.
it was easy to see why he became such a big star in his day. Okay, what about the leading actress? What do you think about her?
Pretty good looking woman. I'm not gonna lie.
You take down
Let's-
those walls of Jericho, Thomas.
We'll get to that. I liked her a lot. I thought she was okay. This is the first time a group of actors was actually likable enough to where I'm wanting to follow their story. I mean, we had the Grand Hotel. I like the Grand Hotel, and it had some really good actors, but nothing is like super extraordinary. These two were actually a lot of fun to watch, and I thought she was hilarious. Okay, when her father like slapped her, I did not expect her to jump off the boat. That was just, I was like, oh my god. So, I think she was really good at the slapstick part of this, and especially in the trains, or not the train, the bus ride, where she's like, "Oh, this is the first position I've been comfortable all night. Thank you." So, but yeah, she's very charismatic as well. I really liked her.
Yeah,
Somebody
true.
else
I think
go.
she did really well. Really good job, like with the funniness of what we're trying to get at. The rich girl that like at the point whenever she's like, "Oh, they'll wait for me. Just I'll be right back, driver. Just hold on. I'll be a few minutes late."
Oh
Just
yeah,
that kind of like unaware rich person not realizing what it's like and that not everyone waits on your hand and foot everywhere else. So
Well, I did like
appreciated-
I like when Gable, I guess Peter, but Gable asked her like, "What were you doing all day?" She's like, "Going in and out of doorways, trying to keep dry."
Yeah, I think she did a good job, especially just like the transforming arc she kind of had throughout the movie, and then the they had a good conflict towards the end that kind of is a trope of romance movies, I feel like now, but I don't know if this was one of the first ones to do it, but I enjoyed the conflict. It was fun.
Jared?
Yeah, she played a brat well. I don't know. She was just charismatic as well. She was very likable in this movie. Like Thomas was saying, this is the first characters that like you want to follow along with, as opposed to like the other movies we've been watching. Was she a lot older than the main dude, or was she just being a brat,
think it's
calling him a
just-
boy?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh no,
In the
that
big-
yeah.
In the beginning, she kept calling him a boy, and I was like, "It's
Young
like
man.
this."
and-
Yeah.
I think that's a class thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, because she seems like a girl. Like she
Yeah.
just like met this guy and got married because it was like the first guy she interacted with.
I didn't understand that guy at all, but we'll get into that.
For me, I really liked how she could like convey a lot of emotions without like talking. There was a lot of scenes where she kind of like stares, or she just like, she stares at him, and like there was a lot of good like quiet moments in this
Mhm.
movie where like they're looking at each other and they kind of want to kiss each other, but they don't because they know they're not supposed to. Stuff like that. I really enjoyed the quiet parts of this movie. As for the other actors, anyone jump out at you? The dad?
Her dad was delightful.
Yeah,
I loved her dad.
He was
go ahead. Sorry.
he was kind of a jerk at first, but
I know, and then you
at
come
the
back, and I was
movie-
like, "You're wonderful.
kinda-
What happened?"
yeah, this guy's nice.
You kind of understand like why he's like,
Yeah.
like,
Don't be with that guy.
don't be
He-
with this guy.
He really reminded me of like the Sultan from Aladdin, like the
Yeah.
dad in that, because he's kind of like adorable, but
Yeah.
like he really cares for his daughter.
Kind of the same story, really.
Yeah,
My God.
Street brat.
stop that.
I like the bus creep.
Oh,
thought
that
he
guy
was
was so
hilarious.
creepy.
Well, he was
Dude,
creepy.
yeah.
Like he was. Well, thing is, like we watched movies where that's your protagonist is that guy.
That's true.
So-
That's all the other Oscar winners we watched.
But
Yeah,
we'll
you
get to.
kind of wanted to save her from him when they first meet, because he just keeps going on
Well,
about.
One of my favorite parts. He's like, just go, get away. I'm like, did they just abandon that man in the middle of nowhere?
Yes. And then that's where they think they got the Bugs Bunny thing is, because he keeps calling everyone Doc.
Huh.
Oh, that does make sense. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the plot. So this movie starts, and like you guys said, she's on a boat. This movie, I mean, I gotta say, it starts like real fast. I was like,
Mhm.
what the heck is going on? Because it doesn't give you any kind of setup or anything. She's on a boat. She's fighting with her dad. He's like, we're married. You gotta put up with it, or something like that. And he's like, no, you're crazy or something. And like you said, he like slaps her, and she immediately runs off the boat, jumps in the water, and she's off. So stop me if you guys want to talk about anything specific as we go along. And I'm just going to kind of go through these fast. So if I miss something, tell me to go back. So we go to the bus station. I love this kind of these kind of shots they did in older movies where you follow one actor and then it switches to the point of view of another actor. I just love those kind of shots. So in this one, she's walking into the bus station. There's like, she talks to like an old lady or something. But then it focuses on Clark Gable's character, who's in a phone booth and like surrounded by a bunch of guys. So I love when they do the handoff of the protagonist.
That's a cool transition scene, by the way, when Gable's in the phone booth. Well, not in the phone booth, but in I think New York, the publisher or whatever. And then it focuses on Gable's like mouth, and then it like goes out to the phone booth, and it goes back to the publisher, comes back to the phone booth, and he's like surrounded by guys. I really like that scene. Yeah.
Yeah, so back then you didn't get no privacy because people could just crowd up and listen to your conversation in a phone booth. I guess if they
His relationship with his boss is like George Clooney and his boss in One Fine Day.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this is like the same kind of characters.
So
Has the same suaveness too.
Yeah.
My
in
God.
that conversation, we learned that he's a reporter and that he's been fired. Get him out of here. So he's gonna get on the bus. They're getting on a bus. They're going
Almost
to
a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
Almost.
they want to go to New York because they're in Florida, right?
Miami.
There's this bus driver, and he keeps saying, "Oh yeah."
Oh yeah.
You know what? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they all laugh and clap.
So they have to sit together because there's like no seat. She doesn't want to sit by anyone.
Have a
And
meet
he's
cute.
and he's like, "Hey, is this a 2-person seat?" And he's like, "Sometimes." And you're like, this
I
is
like
one
when
of those times.
I like when he's like, I fought for that seat. And she's like, is there assigned seating? No.
So they take off. They don't get very far where the bus driver stops and gets some food. So they're all stopping for hot dogs.
In Jacksonville.
Yeah, they're in Jacksonville, right? Yeah, because when they started off in like Miami.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
they
make
really
the-
didn't go that far.
No.
Okay, so while they're stopped, the girl's like smoking. He's kind of eyeing her, and then he's like sees someone take her suitcase and just like runs off with it. And he like runs after him and tries to get it back.
Like he's like, did you see that guy? He's out there. He's like gone.
She's like, "How dare you interfere with my life or whatever?" What happens next? They get back on the bus, and she doesn't sit with them this time. She finds someone else to sit with, but unfortunately, she gets that guy who snores a lot, and she can't take that. So she goes back to the guy, and
And she
So-
sleeps on him.
yeah, she sleeps on him.
On
He
him,
waits-
not with him. We get to that later, but on him.
Okay, so then they make it to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's the place where they get off the bus. And like you guys said, he's like,
I just got why they wanted a Trump at the end.
Really? Now you're getting it?
I just because I kept thinking like, the whole time I was like, why do they want a trumpet? It
You're
literally,
thinking about
literally just
that?
clicked in my head.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
That's
So
what all the memes were about, Michael.
I just meant that it was just a non-PG ending for a movie, but then I get because I was like, I get that part, but then I was like, why? But yeah, I've seen VeggieTales, I know.
Okay, so why is she in Jacksonville? She was gonna meet someone there or something.
Yeah,
Is that
something
what it's
about the
called?
hotel, but nobody was there.
Yeah, she doesn't really say. She's just like, I'm going to the certain hotel.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he like gets a hold of his boss, and he's like, "Oh, hey, I got a scoop."
He's like,
So
hey Lou, what are you wearing? And he's like, what?
yeah. So they get back on the bus. There's that rude passenger we were talking about. What was his name?
Hold up.
What?
So one when he delivers that letter, sorry, is it telegram?
Telegram.
Telegram.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it cost him $2.60, right? I was like, wow, that's expensive for back then. I wonder how much that is. So I did the inflation calculation. It's $58 to send that telegram.
Dang.
Jeez.
That's
No
not
wonder, like,
when I was watching it, I was like, I bet that's like $50 nowadays or something like that.
That's expensive for a telegram.
no wonder that guy kept being mad at the collect calls.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is that he always refers to charges. So
So we talked about the rude passenger. What was it? His name was something with an S, right?
That was a C. I can't remember.
It was like,
It's like Shipley or something like that.
Yeah, Shapely.
Shapely.
Yeah.
like on the side Shapely or something like that.
Yeah.
Called himself, which is
So
gross.
he is very annoying.
He knows he's a side piece. He's not ashamed of that.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you like me, you know you like me. Come on. It's like, no. There's a rude pass, there's chocolates. Someone's selling some chocolates.
I'll take one. No, she won't.
Yeah. So I guess we missed the part where he kind of like he says, hey, I'm gonna take you to that place.
Because he recognized who she was and said, hey,
yeah.
if you don't let me do this and like write a story about you, I'll call your dad and say, hey, she's here. Because her dad also has like a detective agency looking for her, like the Pinkertons or something like that.
They're just not
Combing
very
the
good.
whole.
No, they're not. They kind of suck, actually.
Yeah, so she's got like I think it's like 50 cents left or something like that. She's like, yeah,
$4.
I'll take some chocolate.
Oh,
And he's like, no, you have 50 cents left in your whole.
It's like that Jason Bateman and Marissa McCarthy. What was that? Bounty or something?
Oh yeah. What was it called?
What was it called? Identity theft.
yeah.
She's like, I'll take the lobster, and it's like the FUR.
So the bus gets trapped in some mud.
Well,
so
you
they
gotta talk about that scene though. The bus
After
driver's
that-
yeah,
driving. He
That
goes,
delightful scene. by the way.
yeah, but and then the
Wait,
driver's
which one
driving,
is that?
He lets go.
Where
of
there's
the
a
steering
random
wheel.
band in the back.
True.
Was that part?
Well, we're skipping over the first night that they spend at the those
No,
cabins.
I'm getting to that because they get stuck in the mud, so they have to stop at a motor lodge.
Yeah, because that's whenever that one dude, the creepy guy, comes up and he tries to like get in on the
Yeah.
swindle, and
And
bro man
tells
gets kind
them-
of scary.
he tells them that they're married.
Yeah.
And they check in as married people. She's kind of mad about that. But he's like, hey, this is the best option or whatever. So they get to the motor lodge, they get a room. He's like, hey, you want to watch me undress? And she's like, I don't care. And she
Then he gets to the pants and she's
yeah,
like, no.
she's like, oh, I care. So this scene is famous because when he takes off his shirt, he doesn't have an undershirt on. And before, all men wear undershirts. But after this scene, men stop wearing undershirts.
They're like, we don't have to wear two? It's hot out
I don't
there.
have to be sweating. Yeah.
Especially in Miami. I mean, good lord.
True.
So where look in these rooms are the hooks
I think there's
like
pre.
were they were they mandatory back then? Because each room he went to, he tied the string up for the walls of Jericho. So
I'm guessing,
had it.
maybe. Privacy, a little privacy. Dude, I cannot remember when that singing part came. I don't think it was that part. I think it comes
No,
later.
it was-
Because they
it was after
befriend
this.
each other.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about no pants. There's a
The wall of Jericho is a blanket between them, by the way.
so for decency, he puts a blanket up because they're not actually married. So
Oh, and that dude just smokes one in bed to
I know,
fall
he's
asleep. I was like, whoa.
Like I said, you had leading boy. This is a leading man.
I was like, what a pimp.
I know this
It's Clark Gable, man.
I do enjoy those scenes when they're in bed and because like I said, there's a lot of stuff that happens without talking.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell this was pre-code.
Yeah, they do this is like the last pre-code.
I think so,
We're
yeah.
gonna see. They do a quick scene with the dad on the plane. He's talking about finding her. They still haven't found her. And then it's morning, and then there's showers. He needs a shower.
It's like,
I was gonna ask that too. Did the lodges just provide jammies? Because
No, he gave
No,
her.
He has
her
an
the
extra.
That was
those
his
are
extra
his
pair.
extra
Mhm.
pair. Okay, because she does wear them again.
Mhm.
Looks pretty
So
good
it's like-
wearing them too. I'm just saying.
where did she get these PJs? So she's got to go take a shower, and they're like, "Ha, you're not in line. You gotta get."
A little girl raspberries her, and she does it right back.
Yeah, that was cute. And then she's like all friendly with them when she gets back. She's like, "I made all these friends. This is awesome." He's like cooking breakfast. This is where Jared's one egg comes in.
He's like, "Oh, you made me eggs," and he's like, "1 egg."
You get one egg, you get one donut.
This was my favorite scene, the breakfast, because he's like, "Is that how you dunk a donut?" And she's like, "Yeah."
It's so good.
Okay, and he teaches her, you just go boop, and then you eat. No, he's wrong. You do let it sit a little bit. You gotta get soft. You don't
Gotta
just
let it
whoop.
soak it.
Yeah, but he's a fast time reporter, Jared. He has to get
I don't care how
out,
fast
go.
you are. You do it right. You don't let it sit too long because he's right. It will break off and then it's no good. But you do it enough that it gets soft. And I know.
But he's writing a book about it.
I'll
Donuts
see.
look
Show
good
me the
back
book.
then. Donuts look good back there. I remember this one like Shirley Temple movie where they like make donuts.
Because those are actual donuts.
Well, these are like cake donuts.
Yeah, they're cake
just
donuts.
plain cake donuts.
Jared,
I love those.
I was craving Donut Man. Like after I saw those donuts, I'm like,
I miss him.
I miss
So
him
there's
too.
another fun scene. So the detectives are checking the rooms
Oh,
and they come in.
and he's like, "Woman."
Yeah. So they act like they're an old married couple. And he's like making her cry. And she's like, don't make me cry.
Oh, I bet you were doing the other guy too. No, I wasn't doing
I like the guy that runs the inn. He's like, they were nice. They were happy before you guys came.
They're just a good married couple. Stop bothering them.
They're not very good because don't they have a picture of her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she's there and they kind of just barely mess up her hair a little bit.
He unbuttoned her shirt. She would never do that.
But I guess the acting fools her.
It was a very over the top performance, but it was
Yeah.
hilarious.
She gets a little accent in there. She's like, "What are you doing?"
So the dad has arrived. Oh no, we get another scene with the boss. We get another scene with the dad. I think this is where the dad meets the husband.
He's like, "It's okay to marry her now," or whatever, because he hates him. And he's like, "Well, you know what? You can just marry her.
Whatever."
I don't give a flip."
Do it.
He's not a very attractive man, is he?
Nah,
His
he's
husband.
quite a bit older and like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the reason that it's okay for you to marry her because they legitimately can't find her right now. So he's like, I don't care if you marry her, just find her, please.
Yeah, he does get that soft. He starts to show his soft side when he's like, I just want to find her. I don't care about all this. They get back on the bus. I think this is where the music comes in, like Jared was saying. They sing the trapeze artist and like
Dude, this is a good scene because the guy's like, "Can I take this part?" And they're like,
yeah. He starts like Irish singing at them.
I like the sailor guy who's hilarious.
And then a mom passes out.
Well, they have a bus crash here.
Is that what?
Mm-hmm.
What happens?
So the bus driver was going like, like ran over off the road. Remember that part?
Okay.
And then
And
like
that's when
the mom passes out, and then that's when what's her face, the main character, gets like crumpled up. She's like, "This is the most comfortable I've been all night."
Oh yeah, and then so the kid's like all crying because his mom's passed out, and he's like,
she's like,
"We were gonna get some money. We were offered a job."
Oh yeah, that kid was totally con artist, right? Like, there's no way
It
that
felt like it. Yeah,
it totally looked like he was like, "Oh, thank you."
yeah.
Yeah, I will take the rest of your money.
"Dang, Michael, you don't trust that little boy."
Absolutely not.
And then the guy, the annoying guy, Shapely or whatever, he was reading the newspaper and he said, "Hey, there's a reward for her." So he talks to Clark and he's like, "Hey, you want to get in this reward with us?" And Clark makes up this story that
He's like, yeah, we'll kill her and then we'll dump her later.
So he like fakes him out.
I like when he's like, oh, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't want
I
this.
just
I got a
wanted a quick
family,
buck,
man.
Well, Gable's like, you got a gun, right? You got a gun, right?
I got a family. I can't be.
And then he's like, well, run.
So Clark takes the girl off the bus and they start traveling on foot because he's afraid that people are looking for them and they're going to find them. So they're walking, and this is the piggyback ride.
Oh God!
And they don't understand how piggyback rides work.
She's like, a piggyback, yay! And he goes, "This isn't a piggyback, you crazy? Are you crazy or something like that?" That line killed me.
Because
my dad used to do piggybacks all the time.
Yeah, my dad was the best piggybacker.
He just has her over his shoulder. It's like, girl has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah,
that's fireman carry right there.
Yeah.
And then he just slaps her on the bum.
He does. He's like, hey, look at that. No, he's like, here, hold this. He's like,
Oh my.
This movie's very funny, by the way.
It's very funny.
It is actually very funny. Yes, Joe?
Then what happens?
What happens now, Joe?
Is this where they sleep in the hay?
No, that's later.
I thought they fell asleep in the hay right there.
Okay, sorry. They fell asleep in the hay, and then they're hitchhiking.
This is the hay part. Oh, but he finds carrots. We gotta.
Yeah,
carrots. Yeah, he finds some carrots, and he tells her to eat her head off.
He left, and she freaked out whenever he left.
Yeah.
Like, where are you?
Because she's like saying, "Oh, yeah,
I was getting some dang food, woman."
Because she doesn't notice that he takes off. Because this was the part where they almost smooch.
Yeah,
and she doesn't notice that he kind of takes off. And she's like, well, you could leave anytime you want. I don't need you. And then she turns around and he's not there. And she's like, starts screaming. He's got some carrots. And she's like, we're going to eat those raw. And he's like, yeah, eat your head off or something like that.
Well, I did like when she's like, you didn't find anything for me. He's like, you know what? I didn't consider it. I'm sorry.
So then after that night, we get to the famous hitchhiking scene. So he's like, yeah, I'm a pro at hitchhiking. I can write a book. I got the thumb thing right here. And for some reason, like a million cars pass him at that point.
Whoa. Just keep going.
He's just one guy in the car's like, ha, ha, and then run.
Doesn't he like flip him off or something?
Well, like five cars passing. He's just standing there like
trying each of them.
I think eventually just flips him off or something.
Yeah. He goes like this.
Oh, yeah. And she's like, you're terrible at this. I can do it. And
is this the first time this has ever been done? This leg to
hit has ever been shown
on screen, I think.
Oh, you mean this method of hitchhiking?
Yeah.
I wonder. That's a good point. Probably.
I believe this is where like the stereotype came from, was this scene.
So
and then we get to Jared's favorite character.
We show some leg, and that stops a guy cold in his track. He's like, whoa, yeah.
He stops immediately, flies out of the car because of the sudden stop. I like how she's like gloating in the car. She just all smiles.
He's just like,
yeah. And then the guy starts singing.
This is how I sing in the car.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Narrating their trip.
That guy was insane.
The guy was pretty insane. They get to a rest stop. He's like, how about some food? And they're like, no, thank you. There's this one part where he's like, let's get out and stretch our legs. And he immediately goes and sits on a bench.
Yeah.
So they're like talking. And then the guy comes back for his car and takes off without them. And he's like,
it's like, I'm taking your luggage. Like,
yeah,
that was a twist I did not expect with this man that was so jolly and singy to be a crook and just took off.
Well, the twist is Clark Gable chased down a car.
That's true.
Yeah,
and beat him and stole his car.
I was hitting that scene and I was like, I think he's gonna catch that car.
In my notes, all I have is GTA.
Press triangle.
So Rockstar got it wrong. They should have set it back in the 30s and just
that'd be cool
with rest stops and stuff along Florida.
Just as crazy then as it is now.
Okay,
The
now
origins of Florida Man.
Times haven't changed.
okay, now it says they meet the husband, so I was wrong. They meet the husband. I don't even remember that discussion actually.
He's a very bland man, to be honest with you.
They're like 3 hours from New York, but she wants to stop. So they get another hotel.
Typical.
Typical.
Bathroom breaks. You never get anywhere where you're going.
So they get to the second cabin and they put up the walls again. The innkeepers there are kind of funny. She's like, well,
Yeah.
we're never gonna make money. You keep trusting everyone. It's like,
Well, and, like the was it the wife or whatever? She's like, they made me get a blanket and a piece of rope. Can you imagine a married couple still doing that?
they're young.
Who knows?
So the second cabin is where a confession of love is made. She's like, maybe I don't want to go back to that guy. Maybe we could just take off.
We'll run away.
Yeah, run away together.
And he's like, go back to your bed.
Yeah.
And she starts crying. Like,
And then he thinks about it, I guess, but she's already asleep. And he's
yeah,
like,
he's
"Dang
smoking
it."
in bed. And he's like, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So she wakes up and he's gone, and the innkeepers are like, "Hey, man, we need some money." And she's like, "I got no money." So he actually drove back to New York, and he wrote up his story, and he sold it for like $1,000, right?
Yeah, he's like, I got the story of a lifetime.
And the guy's like, "Yeah, this is good. I like this story." So
and then he gets a call from the dad.
Yeah. And the dad's like, "Oh, we called off the search. There's no reward or something."
Someone's
like that.
picking her up now. And
Yeah, the newspaper guy's like, "Dang it."
Yeah.
He's like, "Find that guy. We'll arrest him." He kind of like puts a hit on him or something. He's like, "I want that guy arrested." But he's like looking at the story again. He's like, "Hey, this is still pretty good." Clark is in a car, still that car that he stole from someone. He's driving it as fast as he can. He's all happy because he's got money and he's planning to run away with the girl.
I thought you were just gonna say because he's got money.
And then he gets in this car chase because these cops come and pass him, and they're headed the same direction.
Dude, how much was 1,000 back then?
I'm looking it up.
That's a lot. Yeah, so that's probably his whole he could live off that for a while. There's a car chase. He's trying to make it in there before the cops. The cops do make it before him.
Okay.
And
$1,000 in 1934, $22,450.
Pretty
A
good.
lot of money.
The cops get there before her. There's that classical misunderstanding Hollywood loves. She thinks he just ditched her. So she's like, "All right, take me back to New York." They take her back to New York, and
it's the inn wife's problem or fault because she's like, "Oh, he left you. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
She doesn't care."
Where's my money?
We kind of learn that she wants a real wedding because they eloped last time, so she wants a real wedding. And we see her in her wedding gown. The dad's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And she's like, "I don't want to marry this guy." And he's like, "You don't want to marry him, right?" He kind of figures it out. And she's like, "Yeah, but I have to because I've already disappointed a lot of people. And then plus Clark Gable doesn't even really like me.
He hates me."
Yeah. The dad disses bus drivers because she's like, "I met someone else," and he's like, "It's not a bus driver." It's that made me laugh. And then so the dad encourages her not to marry the guy, but she's still gonna go through with it. The dad meets Clark Gable at the office and offers him $10,000, isn't it?
For the reward.
Yeah, for reward.
But Clark's like, "No, I just want to be reimbursed for all that."
I itemized the whole trip.
Yeah, I need
He's like, "You want $30?" And he's like, "Yep."
I lost my hat. So the dad's like, oh, I like this guy.
Oh, I forgot about the hat part. He's like, oh, I'll trade you this. It's like, I don't have a hat. He's like,
Oh yeah.
you do
Yeah,
now.
you do.
So the dad's like, oh, I like this guy. This guy's pretty cool.
He's
Got
like, you
some-
didn't want the reward? He's like, nah. And he's like, and then he starts leaving. He's like, do you love my daughter? And he's like, who would love that? He just keeps yelling, do you love my daughter? And finally he's like, yes, fine, go.
This
So
is
Clark
a good. This is a good scene too.
Yeah.
Clark actually sees her at the, I guess, pre-wedding. I don't know what you call it. The shower.
The pregame show.
And he's like, yeah. What does he tell her? He tells her something.
I don't
He said,
remember.
like something like you. This is where you fit in, or this is where you belong, or something
Yeah,
like that. Something along those
something like
lines.
that. Yeah. And she's like, oh. And
This
the
is where
dad's
they're like, F you. And she's like, no, F you.
yeah. And the dad's like, hey, he loves you. And she's like, yeah, right. So they actually go to the wedding. They have a nice outdoor wedding. The husband, doesn't he fly in?
He
on that
arrives by like
whirly
helicopter.
bird?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something.
Hella plane.
and then she's like, they like, hey, do you want to marry her? And he's like, yeah. And then she's like, hey, do you want to marry him? And she's like,
She throws up a little and
yeah.
No, she like exercises the demon. She's like, and then takes off. I was like,
She
holy
takes off
cow,
running.
woman.
Well, for a second, I thought she like tipped something over and ran. Like,
I thought she was gonna get in the helicopter and take off.
she pushes
That
the
would've been
priest
awesome.
over and runs. I do like the dad. He's like all proud. He's like,
He's
yeah.
like,
Yeah,
what is going on? I have no idea.
yeah, just like smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
what could that be about?
So we get to the end. They run off together. They go back to that hotel. Because I guess that's their big memory. And then we got the famous scene that we've been laughing about for a week since seeing this movie. It's the walls of Jericho. They want, what did they wanted a blanket, they wanted some rope, they wanted a trumpet. So it shows the outside of their cabin and the lights on, right? And then you like hear a trumpet and then the lights go off. So you gotta
Raunchy.
use your imagination.
Well, not just
what's
that.
going on.
Then we see inside the cabin and the blanket just goes. Whoop.
Oh yeah, the blanket does fall.
Oh yeah, it does flip over, yeah.
So use your imagination and what's going on in that room.
They went to bed.
They're just smoking
They find-
cigarettes.
Clark Gable was like, go to your bed. And she cried again.
You brat. Yeah, that was the movie. Pretty fun. I think we all agree that we like this movie. And it was funny, and there was some good character work in this one. A good chemistry, like Jared said, between the two actors. Do you guys have any other stuff you want to point out?
So Michael,
Hi.
you've seen Arsenic and Old Lace, right?
I've seen, I think I've only watched like half of it with you.
Okay, this is the same director as that,
Okay, interesting.
and It's a Wonderful Life, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, you can definitely tell that this guy likes physical comedy,
Mhm.
and this because this was kind of like hijinks, basically the movie.
Yeah,
But-
they call it screwball comedy.
Yeah, but I mean, just the actual chemistry between the two leads is probably the best part of this movie. But even like some of the side characters are funny too, though. Like, is it Shipley? Is that his name?
Shapely.
Shapely? I don't know. He
He's
was
not the
he-
donut man.
no Creeper Man was hilarious,
Yeah, it's
then-
Oscar Shapely.
and then the dad is like genuinely like wholesome, and I don't know. Everything just feels well rounded in this movie. It's really well thought out. So probably the best of the picture winners we've seen so far. I would
Yeah,
have
this
to
is
say.
easily the best
Yeah.
movie we've seen so far. I really liked it. It's like the proto rom-com. It's like you see all other rom-coms in this movie.
Mhm.
Like I was saying, you see like One Fine Day and just everything that came after it. You just see like it came from this.
Yeah, it's rom-com, it's road trip. Um, there's also I thought a pretty good shot. There's this scene during the hitchhiking scene where she's on a fence and she's kind of like laughing at him as he's doing the thumbs up thing. I really like that scene because you can see her like back here and there's the cars going by. It's a really cool like shot
She was
for
somehow laying down on this 4x4
I
post.
know.
I was
She's
like,
like,
how are you
yeah.
doing
Pulled up
this?
the blankets and put him down next to her. I was like, it's impressive balance, my
Yeah.
lady.
It was a good shot for especially for back then. You don't really see a lot of action shots like that. Yeah, any last words, Michael?
No, I just enjoyed it. I think it was enjoyable to have good dialogue throughout the whole movie, which really brought the movie together because it wasn't, not much actually happened like action wise or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just good character work and good acting, good storytelling. I liked it. Good stuff.
The title's a little misleading. It takes a couple nights.
Yeah. Unless they just meant like it only took one night for that wall to fall.
Oh.
It happened one night.
Oh my.
It's based on something. What is it, a short story or a play?
Fairly sure it's a play because
Based on a fever dream.
Capra
It's a 1933 short story called Night Bus.
Night
Is
Bus.
this Harry Potter now?
Does that happen at night?
There's a night bus in it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that is gonna do it for this time. Check out our main channel at That's Good Stuff, where we review newer stuff and other stuff. We just all the stuffs.
So much.
But we're gonna return next time with the 1935 version of Mutiny on the Bounty. So
also starring Clark Gable.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah. So we will see you next time. Like, subscribe, and notify yourself for even more good stuff. And so long.